Happy Hanukkah. Welcome to the first of 8 videos that we will have for the 2024 Hanukkah season. This is the first night of Hanukkah, so we're lighting, obviously, one candle. And we'll talk a little bit about why the hanukiyyah, the Hanukkah menorah, looks like this, which direction you put the candles in, which direction you light them, why we do it this way. Maybe a little bit about Hanukkah history, but not a lot. I'm just going to stabilize the camera here a little bit for us. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Hanukkah. This is our Hanukkah menorah, the hanukiyyah. Hanukiyyah really just means like a Hanukkah specific thing, but in this case we mean the Hanukkah menorah. Menorah is just a word that means lamp, by the way. So there was a menorah in the temple, and you'll often see menorahs in synagogues that have 7 branches, right? 3 on either side and then 1 in the middle. This is the hanukiyyah. The Hanukkah menorah has 8, 4 on each side plus 1 in the middle, all kinds of different configurations. They don't all look like this, obviously. So what goes on here? Okay, which direction do you put your candles in? You put your candles in from right to left. So first night of Hanukkah, 1. Second night of Hanukkah, 1, 2. Third night of Hanukkah, 1, 2, 3, etc. Going that way. And you light them the other direction. So you light them from left to right. Why we do it this way, both the adding of the candles and the lighting of the candles in a particular direction, is kind of part of the Talmud. So the Talmud's this compilation, compendium of debates on Jewish law, Jewish thought, from the 5th century CE, so 1500 odd years ago, or thereabouts. But the Hanukkah, the Talmud sort of develops over time, and there's different layers to the editing, and we won't go into that. But we have the Talmud preserving a debate about what it looks like to celebrate Hanukkah. And they say that the basic commandment is 1 light per household. Not 1 Hanukkah menorah, 1 light. So the whole household could just 1 candle and you're good. It then says people who are religious, more religious, will have 1 candle per person in the household. So 4 people in the household, 4 candles. Okay. And then it says the mehadrin mehadrin, which is a Hebrew phrase that means the people who really focus on making the commandments beautiful. They light an increasing number of lights. And there's a debate. Do you increase the number of lights or do you decrease it? So there's Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, right? These 2 houses of scholars from really the 1st century CE, maybe the 1st century BCE, there's overlap. These scholars have a debate. Beit Shammai says, well, so the deal is that first night of Hanukkah, you light them all. Second night of Hanukkah, you light all -1, then -2, then -3, right? Till the last night of Hanukkah when you have 1, and it looks like this. Beit Hillel says, no. Look, it goes the other way. You add first 1, then a second, then a third, then a fourth, until you've light them all. You light them all on the 8th night of Hanukkah. The way that the Talmud tends to resolve these disputes between Shammai and Hillel is that Hillel wins, and so the practice, historically, over time, became people having these kinds of menorahs, a hanukiyyah, and adding more light. A lot of people do both. This is a new thing that happens kind of in the modern world. This was not a thing that happened very much I don't know, the last 20 years probably. Some people do both. And so they light the Hillel way in order to kind of fulfill the commandment, and they light the Shammai way in order to kind of preserve this tradition of debate within Judaism. And there are pluses and minuses to this, and you'll notice that I don't have a Shammai one. Some years I do, some years I don't. This year I don't, because Hanukkah's roots as a holiday are really not pluralistic. Sure, lots of other Jewish holidays are not pluralistic either, but Hanukkah is really about, in its origins, pushing back not just against outside influence from Greeks, but against Jews who were adopting Greek patterns of life. That's really the background of the holiday. And so some years I think, preserve some of the pluralism, add Shammai. And some years I think, I don't know, I'm not feeling like that's the right approach this year, because the origins aren't really pluralistic for this holiday, and the Maccabees would not have liked us as modern American Jews. More than 70% of modern American Jews are not Orthodox. And the Maccabees would not have liked the way we do Jewish, and they might really not like some of how even modern Orthodox folks practice Judaism. And so this year, kind of not feeling like that's the right approach. There are other ways of making Hanukkah pluralistic. This is just not one that's working for me this year, so I don't have both. But I do have the one, and so we will go ahead and light, and we'll use our blessings, and there's 2 blessings that we use as humanistic Jews, at least at Mahar, on the first night of Hanukkah. And I'll explain what we're doing, why there's only 2 and not 3, which is the tradition. So light with whatever you're going to light with. I'm using a match that burned out. It's live TV, folks. Okay. These are waterproof matches, but apparently they don't stay lit when you wave them around. All right, and we have 2 blessings. Our first one is Nivarech et haor ba'olam, Nivarech et haor ba'adam, Nivarech et haor shel Hanukkah. Let us bless the light in the world. Let us bless the light in humanity. Let us bless the light of Hanukkah. There's a second blessing. This is the first time we're lighting Hanukkah candles for 2024. And so we say, Nivarech kol dor vador shehechayanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. So Nivarech kol dor vador shehechayanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. We bless all those, let us bless those who gave us life, sustained us, and brought us to this season. Now, if you're familiar with more traditional Hanukkah practice, you'll know that on the first night of Hanukkah, there's another blessing that went between lighting the candles and the Shehecheyanu. And that is a blessing that, like many other traditional blessings, starts with the Baruch Atah formulation. So were we doing more traditional blessings, we would have said Baruch Atah, etc. Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Hanukkah, who commanded us to light the Hanukkah lights. Okay. Referring, of course, to a deity. You'll notice that we didn't do that, and we didn't do that because within humanistic Judaism, the focus is on people power, and so we kind of shift that around, and rather than thanking an outside entity, we're thanking everybody, not just one source or another of the work. Okay, so that was the first blessing. The last blessing, we just swapped out the basic formulation for the Shehecheyanu with Nivarech Kol Dor Vador, but it's otherwise pretty much the same. There's a blessing in the middle that we don't do, that we didn't do, just saw, we didn't do it. And it starts with the traditional Baruch Atah formulation, and then runs to She'asa Nisim La'avotenu Bayamim Hahem Bizman Hazeh, who did wonders for our ancestors in those days at this season. So, marking the intervention in human affairs of a deity who's coming in and performing miracles. And the miracle, in the case of Hanukkah, is, according to the rabbis, both the military victory behind Hanukkah and keeping the oil lit for 8 days, right? That's the traditional story. The rabbis preserve both pieces of it without a lot of detail. And so that middle blessing, we just don't include, we don't really substitute one in. So that's tonight's candle lighting. Tomorrow's, we'll have 2 candles up there, and it'll be day 2 of Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. Thanks for joining us.